Hi everyone, I am Ella, and today I'm going to talk about a common stereotype that is associated with Russian culture. So I'm going to give you 3 seconds to think about any kind of stereotypes that you might have about Russian culture, and I'm sure the one that I am thinking of will be the first one on your mind. So I'll give you 3 seconds. All right, three, two, one. All right. So I'm assuming most of you probably settled on the stereotype that Russians are cold and unemotional. And you could see this a lot, I would say, in pop culture, which is very interesting. My friend Nastya Krasilnikova, who is Russian, obviously, she actually asked me a great question, and she said, "Why in TV shows are Russians always the bad guy?" She didn't understand, and I kind of went into maybe it was about the Cold War, um, kind of kind of historical event. Maybe that's where it stemmed from, but yeah, I think pop culture kind of helps aid the stereotype that Russians are cold and unemotional. And so this common stereotype, it probably developed because they don't smile as frequently as people in some Western cultures. For example, when I first met Nastia, she wasn't super smiley, more reserved, more shy. And I think that some Western cultures read that as uninterested and kind of distant. But really, that's anything but true. I would say that Russian culture tends to value, emotional restraint in public, but in private, they are open and their emotions are expressed more openly, and especially in close relationships. And so I definitely found this out when I had Nastia over for Christmas at my house. She didn't go home, but she came over to my house, and I was just able to get to know her so much better in private rather than in a public setting. Okay, so now the danger of the stereotype or of stereotypes in general is that when people rely on this stereotype, they might kind of put a wall up that really bars any kind of development of any kind of friendship or relationship. And so this can kind of lead to unfair judgments and really awkward interactions, especially in social and professional settings. But, in reality, warmth is simply expressed differently across cultures, so we probably shouldn't make that assumption. Now, a better approach, instead of making, this assumption and assuming emotional coldness, is to ask ourselves how a culture expresses trust and closeness. So observing how people interact with family, close friends, or long-term colleagues, it'll give a much more accurate understanding than just simply judging on public behavior alone. Perfect. Thank you very much.